Question 10 asks, what is the slope of any line that is parallel to the line 9x plus 4y is equal to 7? And there's a couple of concepts that we're going to need to be familiar with in order to solve a problem like this. One is, what is the slope of a line? So here we imagine a coordinate grid. This is our x-axis right here, x. This is the y-axis up here, and we can draw just any old line on it. So here we'll just draw a random line, and the slope is what happens if we pick 2 points on that line. So you can pick any 2 points that we want. We'll take a point right here and maybe a point up here. And then we calculate rise over run. So to get to this next point, I have to go up some amount. That is the rise. And then I have to go over some different amount. This is how far I go over. That's the run. And that's what we mean by slope. How far do we go up every time we go over some distance? The second thing that we have to understand is, what does this word parallel mean? Well, let's go ahead and just draw a parallel line here. So we might imagine there's another line that runs exactly parallel to this line. And one thing that you'll notice about this parallel line is that it actually has, that's not a good color to choose. It has the exact same slope as the line that it's parallel to. So if I just pick 2 points again, it actually doesn't matter which points I pick, but let me pick ones that make it obvious that these are parallel. We rise some amount and run this amount, and this slope, the slope of the green line, is exactly equal to the slope of the red line. That's what it means to be parallel. So now our problem is reduced to the problem of figuring out, what is the slope of this line? 9x plus 4y is equal to 7. And as I said, all we need to do here is pick 2 points, calculate the change in x divided by the change in y. So it'll help to go through an example, or the full example here. Let's go ahead and say x, we'll call this the first choice of x. x0 is equal to something. y0 is equal to something. And then we'll have to pick a second point. Let's go ahead and say purple. We'll call this point x1 is equal to something, and y1 is equal to something else. You can just think of these as, this is one of the points that I'm picking, and blue is another point that I am picking down here. And so what we're asking is, let's go ahead and pick out 2 points, and then we're going to calculate the slope as y. This is going to be how much we rose. So how much we rose is going to be equal to y1 minus y0. This is how far up that we went. And how far over we went is going to be equal to, let's see, we're going to divide this guy by x1 minus x0. So we're just saying, how far over did we go how far up did we go? This is how far up we went, our rise, and this is how far over we went. So once we figured this out, we can solve this equation. Let's go ahead and find numbers for this. So if x0, let's just say, and we can just pick whatever we want here, but usually an easy number to pick is the number 0. And another easy number to work with is the number 1. So what is y equal to when x is equal to 0? Well, that's 9 times x, which is 0, plus 4 times y, which we don't know because we're trying to solve for it, is equal to 7. And in this case, the 9 times 0 becomes 0. And if we divide each side by 4, we have y is equal to 7 divided by 4. So that's the number that we want over here, 7 divided by 4. And y1, let's go ahead and solve for that. Let me choose purple again. So if x is equal to 1, then we have 9 times 1 plus 4 times y, which we're trying to figure out the value of, is equal to 7. This is equal to 9. If we subtract 9 from each side, we have 4y is equal to 7 minus 9, which is negative 2. If we divide each side by 4, we have y is equal to negative 2 divided by 4. And that's this second point here, negative 2 divided by 4. And now we just need to plug things into this equation that we had. So let's go ahead and do that. We have negative 2 divided by 4. That's one of the points of y. And then minus the other point of y, which is 7 over 4 here. So minus 7 divided by 4. And then on the bottom half of the equation, it's how far over we went in x. So we had x1 was equal to 1, and then we went to x0, so this was equal to 0. And if we solve for this equation, 1 minus 0 on the bottom side here is just going to be equal to 1. Negative 2 over 4 minus 7 over 4 is going to be equal to negative 9 divided by 4. And if we remember, any number divided by 1 is just the number itself. So 9 over 4 is the slope of this line here. And as we just proved before, it's also the slope of any line that's parallel. And it's the correct answer here, G.